Hello, welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. If you are running a role playing game, you may well be doing a bit of writing. Um, you are either writing material leading up to your game, you're writing out histories or plots that you want to involve people in. You may be doing extemporaneous writing while you are involved in the game. It may not actively involve the act of writing or typing. You may be doing some of this off the top of your head, verbally. I did some of that last week. But make no mistake, that creative effort that the game master is going to is an act of writing. You are generating prose uh, to describe a fictional set of events. Uh, Even if you are using a published adventure where someone else has already written out your histories and your plots and your encounters, even if you're doing that, there is still material that is probably going to need to be generated by you during play. People are going to want to do things that aren't in the book. Invariably, people are going to want to do things that aren't in the book. As carefully as you can plan for every eventuality. I am guilty, as are many players, of enjoying that look on a dungeon master's face after they've told you, "Oh, I've worked out every eventuality. You guys do whatever you want to. I've got something for that." And then you throw them that curve that they never saw coming, which they probably should have in many cases, but nope, they had their focus on what was going to happen and they planned for all of it. That's it. And oh my God, that's not it. Uh, there's nothing more destructive to the plans of a dungeon master than their players. And that's the wonder of the hobby and the activity as a whole, is that between the random probability presented by the dice and the random probability presented by the minds of your players, you can't account for everything. So to bridge the gap between what was written in a published adventure or what you had planned and what actually happens, there's some writing involved. You might have to close a plot hole on the fly that was created by random chance. That NPC wasn't supposed to die. Or alternately, that NPC wasn't supposed to live. And then you're writing. If you are doing more of your own writing of the adventure going up, there's details that you may just get super involved in that your players just don't. I really want to run this particular store or this particular event. There might be this festival, and the players will decide they're not going to that festival because it sounds like a trap. People are too happy about this festival. They're pushing it way too hard. I think it's going to be some kind of mind control event. We're going to stay away from that and see what happens to the people who went. And, you can choose as a game master at that point in time whether they just see a lot of people who are really happy that they went and feel some regret that they didn't attend the festival, or wait a second, maybe it is a mind control event and the players have been unnaturally canny about this thing. Did I take into account that it could have been a mind control event? Fueling your adventure and your writing off of your players' paranoid conjecture is a privilege as a dungeon master. Long and the short of it, you need to practice your writing. Um, This does not mean you need to sit down, stare at a blank page, and make words happen day after day. Uh, I'm not saying you need to make this your profession. I'm saying you need to do a little writing now and then to flesh out your ability to do this both before the adventure and during the adventure. It is a skill that I cannot overemphasize is important. Um, Whether you take a little while to describe to yourself how some of the features in this town that they're going to, you hope, are going to turn out. This is what the shops look like. This is how the town operates. This is some of the people that they might meet. This is the master of the Stone Guild. Hey, how's it going? You can talk through some of this stuff in the shower. I have written reams of material to my shower walls. Um, which most of which is lost to time, of course, because I'm not actually writing it down. But I've tidied things up and closed off plot holes and created interesting little tidbits that people have been able to encounter. And if they don't encounter it in the game you're running, you're going to run another game. Nothing is wasted. Uh, Everything that you write, every detail you put together, every encounter or shop or fight or bad guy or good guy, every NPC, cleric, every healer, every temple, everything you create is just another Lego in your box of Legos. And the more you have to pull out and add as you're going along, the better. Even if you don't end up using the exact same thing you created, having created something like that once makes it easier to create something like that in the future. Dungeons and Dragons is at an all-time high in its popularity, and I could not be happier. It's getting out there to more mass market. It is seeing more mass appeal. The public is becoming aware of what a wonderful hobby it is, and bless it, that is an amazing thing, a hobby that I have involved myself in since it was deeply unpopular and hunted by the Christian church, is now coming into the mainstream spotlight. Very, very happy. Um, but not everyone can start out their dungeon mastering career, as many people are starting out dungeon mastering careers, and nail everything they need to nail. It's not the easiest job at the table. It's not hard, but it takes more practice than you might assume from watching an actual play on YouTube or listening to podcasts. Um, it takes practice. Uh, I like to say no one's first game is a good game. No one's first dungeon mastering experience is a good dungeon mastering experience. And that's an oversimplification. That's a big oversimplification. Some people can absolutely have a good first experience because they've got good players, they've got a table that is willing to work with them and help bring them up. They've had some experience playing the game before, and now they're on the other side of it, so they know what to expect and they know it, and they've practiced some things in the background, and they're ready to go, and they're accepting of the mistakes that they make, as are the people at the table, and learning from them as they go along. That's a great first dungeon mastering experience, and if you can get that kind of experience, more power to you. If that's how you started dungeon mastering, oh, absolutely. I'm very happy for you, and accept that yes, you can have a good dungeon mastering experience. Many people don't. I didn't. A number of people that I know. I sat through some people's first dungeon mastering experiences that were not great. And I'm using Dungeons and Dragons as the general example here. There are thousands of role playing games out there, some that are becoming more mainstream apparent. Cyberpunk Red, recently. I haven't seen the full edition of Cyberpunk Red yet. I really want to. Um, Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk 2021, some of my favorite stuff. And with the release of CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077 video game, which I occasionally Twitch stream, Cyberpunk has become much more mainstreamy than it has been in the past. And with role-playing games out there, it's getting a little more attention. Not bad. Lots of stuff out there. And the first game mastering of just about any game, it's going to be tricky. The more complicated the game, the more complicated the rules, the trickier it is to run your first game well. The more demanding your players, the trickier it is to run your first game well. The more you think you are going to nail it your first time, the harder it is to run your first game well. And the difference between your first game and your 50th game is your 49 games of practice. This is something you get better with practice and repetition. And one of the skills that will serve you best as you are starting out and jumping into this is writing. It takes effort to write well. It takes time to learn to write well. It takes reading to learn to write well. So read some stuff, read some published adventures, read some fantasy novels, read whatever you like. Read papers on medieval history or things that fascinate you. Find your areas of interest, do some reading, do some writing, maybe. Generate some fiction off of this stuff, or if there's an area of interest you've picked up, whether you're in school or not, whether it's an assignment or not, you can write an essay. You can put together a short paper on something. Do you necessarily need to publish it? No, you can share it with people that you know. Write some stuff that interests you. Write about stuff that interests you. Put it up on social media if you want it to get critiqued and maybe destroyed. Little things. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be a school assignment. Write a description of something you want to encounter as a player in a game. Write a description of a magic item you would like to come across or like some of your players to come across. From this set of activities, from these things where you're just making little stuff, comes making big stuff. Writing is a passion of mine, you might have noticed. I enjoy writing. I should do more of it. I don't take the time to practice like I used to. And it's not something that you should ever stop practicing. And getting in the groove of creating material. I say I'm out of practice in writing, but I'm not really. I'm out of practice in setting things down in words where other people can read them. I do a lot of writing here. Writing is a broad category in my head. It's not just typing or laying out longhand what you are trying to describe in language. It's the plotting and the characters and the organization of story in your head. It's the time you spend sitting down with music playing in the background, staring out the window, trying to figure out how these different elements you have got in your head come together to form a cohesive storyline. It's trying to work out how these people have made up characters awesome, and no two of them belong in the same group. For God's sake, how did those people get together? And why might they be together? And what are they going to face that is going to bring them together in the future? Every minute you spend, a couple of minutes a day, it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Creative work, especially purely mental creative work, very focused creative work, can be exhausting. Even if you don't have ADHD like me, where creative work like that is work. So you got to overcome internal barriers and set aside the time and get your rituals out of the way before you can even start the process. And it's usually something I do at the end of the day as I'm trying to go to sleep. I will make some stories happen in my head. I've lost more of them than I've created over the years, but it's all been practice. It all sears those pathways in my brain that I kick one end of it and a story comes out the other side. That doesn't happen overnight. That's not your first game. That's not your first effort of writing. That's not your first story. That's way down the line after you've practiced. There are a lot of elements of dungeon mastering that do require a little bit of practice. Practice your funny voices, practice your regular voices, practice changing things up a little bit. Practice a good accent, practice some bad accents, because bad accents work just as well as good ones when it comes right down to it. Practice thinking on your feet, and that's best done at the table. You know, your players are often your friends, and vice versa. And if they are with you on, this is going to be a little weird, interesting, experimental. We're going to play Toon for a session. Everyone make up cartoon characters, and we'll go see if we can chase the Roadrunner and maybe catch it this time, or just go off a lot of cliffs. Switch things up, do things differently, practice. Practice not being in complete control of the situation, because as a dungeon master, you are never in complete control of the situation. Nor should you be. That's half the fun of it for me, is not being 100% in control. That does two things for me. One, it means I have to think on my feet. It means my players are going to be challenging me. They're going to bring things to me that I am not prepared for, and I got to give them something. It's not like my world has borders where you walk up to the edge and, oh, well, you were expecting there to be a store there, but instead there is a blank white space where nothing exists. You don't think you should go there, or you might cease to exist as well. There isn't an end to the world, although that is a fascinating concept. Oh man, I might need to write something about that. But if they go to look for a shop, either there's a different shop there or a blank space where there should be a shop. Well, this town doesn't seem to have a general store. Then where do they get all their stuff? I don't know. I guess they're just making it, or they buy it all at the caravan when it comes through. Once a season, they get to buy all their sundries, and aside from that, they're screwed. There's got to be a shop. There's got to be a place that people in this area get their stuff. So I have to continually produce this material. 2, it means that I can offload some of the traditional Dungeon Master's burden of, you killed the characters. Yeah, I mean, that can happen. Well, I gave you these really terrible things, and there was no choice but to go face them, and they were way more powerful than you, and they killed you guys, and that's how it goes. Well, you could go face these terrible things. I mean, you don't have to. There's this thing over here. It's not quite as interesting. And that thing there, you can go do others. You're going to go face the terrible things. They're really rough. They're rough. Okay. Just letting you know. And, maybe you want to gear up a little bit, or maybe you want to work something. You're going to go after, okay, going after terrible things. Fine. Ah, damn, you guys got killed by the terrible things. I am so sorry. But that was not my fault. My favorite words to say as a dungeon master. That wasn't my fault. Your players are going to, I'm going to go poke the thing. Well, you could go poke the thing. The thing doesn't look like something that wants to be poked. I'm going to poke it anyway. Okay? You poke the thing. The thing kills you after you poke it. Because you poked it, the thing kills you. Oh, damn. Well, I'm sorry. But I'm sorry, that wasn't my fault, was it? I also don't kill player characters outright very often. Because it sucks to have your player character killed. Even unless it is the consequences of a long string of bad decisions. Sometimes a player character is trying to die, bad decisions and bad die rolls, and you know what? I'm sorry, that character's got to die. You give some that bad guy. He's got a hook for a left hand. It is covered in runes and glowing a sickly green glow. You've talked to people about that particular pirate. That pirate is a lich. And that hook is a hook of soul stealing. If he hits you with that hook, there's a good chance he will suck the soul straight out of your body. Boom, done right there. Well, I'm going to go melee with the ghost pirate. Okay, all right. Uh, you step into melee with the ghost pirate. You land a couple of hits. It's pretty tough. Kind of lich like. Yeah, that's lich stats. And he's taking a swing at you with his hook. He's proficient with his hook. It's part of him. He's practiced with that. And he hit. He beat your armor class. Okay, give me a con. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not going to beat the con save. Your soul's been removed. Your body falls unconscious, and you are slowly being eaten inside the hook. You got 24 hours. A remove curse will take care of that, or destroying the hook, which doesn't seem terribly likely because the ghost pirate is still very much active and trying to swing his hook at other people. Man, sorry, not my fault. That actually happened. He got better. They dealt with the ghost pirate. Captain Runehook is an old staple of some of my D&D games, and oh gosh, I love me some Captain Runehook. Because you don't got to fight Captain Runehook. You could stand off at a distance and plink Captain Runehook, and he will eventually go down. He's pretty tough. You're going to plink back with some pretty powerful stuff, but you can take Captain Runehook down. You just probably shouldn't melee him, and someone always steps toe to toe with Captain Runehook because they got a chance the hook, and that's what the hook is for. So that's why I dungeon master. I get the challenge of having to come up with stuff, and so I can offload the blame when stuff happens. Captain Runehook, that's one of those guys I wrote well ahead of time. He's got art. I might throw some of that art up on the screen now if I remember while I'm editing later. I am very fond of this particular villain. He invariably gets completely destroyed. He has shown up in more than one game because I like reusing my villains. He can be a recurring villain if you don't destroy the phylactery, which is difficult. But you got to give people a chance to destroy the phylactery. Wow, tangent. In short, you got to practice. Not all of that practice should be at the table. It's great to have a group that will help you practice these things, and a lot of the practice can only come in front of players. You gotta run games for yourself sometimes. Give yourself that feeling of uncertainty. Write your stories. And if you actually write them out, and work on your language, check your punctuation, you might come up with stuff that people will want to read. If you write out the backgrounds to a town, you might come up with a supplement or different characters you might meet. If you want to give them stats and throw them in a book, you might have something there that other people will want to see. If you just write out the story of how a town came about or things that happen in that town, random events or things that people might come across, that's good material. And it's good practice writing. And yeah, write that down. Will you ever do anything with it? If you feel up to it, if people say they'd like to see that someplace else, if you share it and people workshop it with you, get an editor, get someone who will read your stuff and be honest with you about how it is, and show you where it might need a little touching up here and there, but nothing wrong with that. You're not losing anything by writing this stuff down. You're gaining practice. Publish it or not, try to publish it or not, put it in a supplement or not, you're not losing anything by practicing your writing, and you're gaining practice. And that practice will serve you at the table. It will serve you preparing for the table. It will serve you if you just want to get some of these concepts down so that maybe not this game, but that game or the next campaign. Maybe it'll be background for a character story when you're playing. Maybe you can throw it into someone else's game. Well, I wrote this for my campaign, but it didn't play out, so I'd like this to be the background for my character. What do you think? Incorporate it into someone else's game. This is a collaborative effort, after all. Practice. There is one way to be a better writer. Well, there are a number of skills that you need to develop. There's a number of things you need to do, but there is just one way to be a better writer, and that's to write. Good, bad, stuff that makes sense, stuff that doesn't, stuff that only matters to you, stuff that could be more generally right. A little bit as often as you can. Yeah, throw it all together. Makes bigger stuff sometimes, and just a paragraph here and there some other times. Just in your head. Make up stories. Tell them to yourself. And in time, you will reap the benefits. Well, thank you for following along with this particular ramble. God, that was a ramble, wasn't it? Would you like the stats for Captain Runehook? Because I made a stat blog for him. If you would, you know what? If I get comments saying that you'd like to see stats for Captain Runehook, I'll make them available. I'm sure I'll figure out some way to just put a link to a file or something. But thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you'd like to see Captain Runehook, see a stat block, or if there's other stuff you'd like to hear me cover, other things you'd like to hear me discuss, questions you'd like me to answer, leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do, hit the notification bell so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you'd like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps. Allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum, this is what has mattered to me, and I'll see you next time on the next Matters of Decorum.